Alright, my mini bike came shipped today, and I figured I might as well get my camera out and go through what I'm doing to it. Here I have both of the wheels. This one actually comes off of the bike. This one I had to remove. This is the rear, and I'm putting street tires on it. I got two Sun F 19 by 7 by 8 wheels, tires, street tires. Put the street tires on it, and I'll just put these up. Maybe I'll sell these, I don't know. But yeah, my intention with this mini bike is mainly, almost exclusively, riding it on street. And I'm going to be putting lights on it, blinker lights and everything. I've got it in here right now. It is the Trailmaster 200x Hurricane. And like I said, I'm getting the wheels done. The only thing I've done to it so far is I put this on. It comes, the handlebars come off of it. So I've mounted the handlebars on it. I've removed the back tire. And that's it so far. This thing was shipped with oil in it. I've checked the oil. It has oil in it. So it's actually shipped with oil in the motor. It's actually shipped with shipping oil, which I did run it briefly, and then I changed the oil after about, I don't know, after heating it up. And then I ran it for another week, I guess, on the first oil change, and then I changed the oil again. So I'm on my second oil change right now. 196cc. It's a 196cc Jing Jung or whatever motor. It's got a torque converter on it. Hurricane 200x. My tail light and license plate holder is going to mount right here. Yeah. My turn signal thing, I'm going to probably move this down a slight bit, and maybe I can move this a fraction of a quarter of an inch, maybe something like that, and I'm going to try to put my turn signal thing right here. But yeah, I've got all of that kind of stuff over here. This is all of the mini bike stuff, and I got a helmet. I bought a helmet, so yeah, that's all the mini bike stuff right there. So we'll be going through this thing and getting her all wired up. I'll show the wiring diagram that I'm planning on using. I've got a diagram wired up for the for the wiring. And stay tuned to the very end of the video. I will post the actual wiring diagram that I used in this build, and it changes a little bit over time, and I'll point that out. My initial wiring was not the final wiring, and I'll try my best to point that out. It comes with this crate. This is how it comes shipped. This crate right here. And this was the box that was over it. Okay. It's got a title, comes with a title right here. Nice. So this is not a title. This is a certificate of origin for a vehicle, which does come with the Trailmaster. And if you're going to register this as a motorcycle, you do need this to apply for a title. Since I registered this in my state as a moped, I do not need a title. You just get a registration for it. But yeah, I did need that, so clear that up. Yeah. Cool. So yeah, we'll get this baby all done up. So first things first, tomorrow I'm going to run over and take care of those tires. So that'll be number one, is get the wheels done and get them put on the bike. Yeah. So I'll see you tomorrow once that's done. Alright, I'm back to messing around with the mini bike. I took the seat off. I went ahead, because from a lot of things that I've seen online is you need to move the governor spring. I'm not removing or disabling the governor at all on this. And the reason I did not want to remove the governor is because if you remove the governor, your engine is going to rev kind of as much as you want it to rev. And it's unsafe with the stock flywheel because they can break. And I don't want to replace the flywheel because I want to use the charging system to charge my battery pack. So I'm leaving the governor in place, and I'm just moving the governor spring over so that I have the least amount of governor effect on the mini bike without having to sacrifice my charging for my battery. But I did move the spring to the furthest right hole. You can't really see, just there's a line of holes there. I moved it to the furthest to the right hole. Now I had to remove the bolts and remove this, just kind of push it out of the way. And that was a pain in the butt. There's a bolt right back there. That one right there, that's a bolt, not a nut. It's a bolt. And that one's kind of a pain to deal with. But I removed that, removed these two guys, kind of moved this up out of the way, moved my spring to the furthest right hole. There's a line of 5 holes, and I moved it to the furthest to the right. So that's that. I installed my brake light. And how I did that is these little mounting clamp things. This is just bolted onto that. And then it's bolted onto here. And I will link everything that I use in this build. I will have links to Amazon for everything that I use. So this light will be linked, these mounts will be linked, everything I use I'll link. So I am heading up now. I just got the call. My tires are mounted, and my road tires, I'll leave a link in Amazon for my road tires too. So I'm going to jump in my car and head and pick up my, and to get these tires mounted, I didn't want to mess around with it myself, so I'm paying someone to do it. And you kind of have to find a motorsports company to do it. I actually have to go about 15 miles out of my way to get it done. So I'm going to go pick my tires up, and then it'll be nice to actually put my wheels on this thing. So let's jump in the car and go grab our street wheels. And up here on the right, the big yellow building, that's where we're going to pick up my wheels. Rocky's Outdoor Outfitters or something like that. They do a bunch of mini bike and go-kart and all kind of stuff like that. Motorcycle, camping, archery. Rocky's. We're going to go in there and Rocky's Great Outdoors. Alright. Head in there and grab my stuff. Alright, we're back. Got my tires done. And they look awesome. Here's the ones that came off. And I got my street tires. We'll go ahead and start putting those on the bike. Got the wheels on. And I actually put the seat back on. Because before I do anything, and I just kind of zip tied my wires up out of the way. Because before I do anything else, I want to ride this thing. Yeah, it's looking sharp. Yeah, but before I get to the wiring and everything, I actually want to ride this. So I'm going to go get some gas and get this thing rolling. There we go. All right. I'm just now getting back to filming. I actually got a little excited yesterday, and I was cruising around on this thing, and it's awesome. On just a little stretch, one block going, I got up to about 36 miles an hour. Not even really going full throttle. So yeah, this thing's awesome. I think it'll top out around 40, maybe 38, 30, 39, something like that. Bone stock. And I'm a pretty big dude. I weigh about 225 to 230 pounds. So yeah, this thing's awesome. But I'm working on the wiring now. I got it running. I mean, it ran great. I really had a great time on it. Okay, now what I've done is, there's my regulator. I mounted my regulator on this metal plate. This is a metal plate, which is nice because it also will act as a heat sink for this. This is my regulator. And I also, one thing I did was I used my multimeter and I started it up and I probed the AC output. And this thing, when you rev it, just idling, it puts out about 9 to 10 volts, and when you rev it up a little bit, it goes up 13, 14, 15 volts AC, which is perfect for this regulator because you can see it is 10 to 28 volts AC input. So yeah, that's great. So that worked great. Now what I've done is I removed the headlight and I cut off the connector that connect the headlight to the AC coming in, and I put my own plugs on there. I put two of them, two position plugs, because I wanted to also run this wire right here. This is AC coming out. I just basically coupled into that. And now I'm running an AC line over to here, and this one will plug into my and that'll put out 12 volts. And I'm going to put a capacitor across this so that it smooths it out. And I put a connector on here, 6-position connector on this, so I'll have the mating plug for that. And I've been thinking, I don't see where I need a battery. I really don't think I need a battery at all for this. I don't have electric start or anything like that. I can run off of this 12 volt regulator. I can run this whole thing. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to run this off of the 12 volt regulator, and I don't need a battery. Yeah, so that's how it'll work. That's how I'm going to do it anyway. That's how I'm going to try it. And while yes, this is true that you can run the lights off of that 12 volt regulator, as I demonstrated later on in this video, but the problem is it runs dim when the engine is at a lower idle, and you have to have the engine at an advanced idle for the lights to actually work properly. So I did end up going with a battery pack and changing the wiring to accommodate for that. But this was my first initial thing, and while it is true, yes, you can run it without batteries on just that regulator, it is not the ideal way to do it. So, all right, yeah. So all I have to do is put a plug onto this, an output plug, and I'll probably put a 6-position plug on here, and I'll like double up some of the, I'll make 2 yellows, 2 blacks, so I'll have 4 connections. And then I'll make a harness that will go from here. Well, actually, no, that probably won't reach that, I don't think. No, that won't. I don't think that will reach there. No, it won't. So I'll have to make a small harness to plug from this to that. And then I'll also have to put my switch on, and I have to run a wire from my switch back to here. So I think that's what I'll do next. I'll get my switch out and make that harness. And I'll go from there and just keep at it. Alright, so I moved my engine kill switch to this side. It was right here. This is where my turn signal stuff's going to go. So yeah. And I have my brake switch right here. This came on the bike. That's your brake switch. Yeah. So, alright, let's get that switch on here. Okay, I got my switch installed. I'm not going to have low beam and high beam hooked up, so that's really going to be nothing. I had to slightly move this down. Okay, so yeah, I need to incorporate brake switch into this as well. So I'll do that, and kind of tie that. I need to go to the hardware store and get some black tie straps. I don't have any good black tie straps, and I need some. So I should probably do that. I can get this thing, I can get this, I'll just use this right here, this extra wire I have right here. I'll just run that down and strap it with this, so it'll be one wire, and it looks like this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and that'll be 9 and 10. So I'll need like a 12 position plug right here, and then from that 12 position plug I'll run back to connect everything. So yeah, that's what I'm going to do. Let me get this wire, this part done. That'll be strapped with this, and go from there. We're getting there. I need to go to the hardware store though. I need to get some good black tie straps, so let me do that. Okay, I got my brake wired on. It's just 0.187 quick connectors on there. I crimped them onto this wire, and I've temporarily used these white zip ties. They're not permanent. They're really weak, not good. But I've got it just tied together, and so this I'll put a connector onto here, and that'll go kind of under the tank, and we'll have a plug going from here down to in here, a harness. I'll make a harness to go through here and plug into everything. That'll do. That should do it. So we'll figure it out. Okay, I've got most of these crimped and done. I put heat shrink over the brake leads just because some of it was bare. These crimp terminals aren't big enough to go over this insulation, so I put this over to cover the insulation, or cover the crimp terminal. I just wanted to demonstrate one of these before I'm done with it. What I'm doing is I'm stripping these and I'm kind of folding it over on itself, if this will focus. You see how I'm folding it over to get a better bite? So that's how I'm crimping those. Folding them over, stripping them a little long, folding them over so you get a good bite on the crimp. So I'm going to go ahead and crimp this one, and this plug will be done. And it is finished. There it is. Switch plug. 10 positions. Now I'll just have to make a harness to plug into this and run back to all of this stuff. Okay, this is what I've put together for my 12 volts DC. We have here, you'll see, this is your AC input. Remember, that's that line that I ran from the split from the headlight. So my AC will come into here, be turned into DC and regulated to 10 volts or 12 volts. I have a capacitor here. This is 3,300 microfarad capacitor at 35 volts. That'll just filter and make a nice clean, because once this thing rectifies this and regulates it, I don't think, I mean, this might have capacitors, but I'm sure it doesn't have this kind of a capacitor to smooth out that 12 volts and make it a nice level, even 12 volts. And then that goes to my fuse block, and I'm going to fuse my turn signals are going to be one of these, and then everything else, the running light, the brake light, and the horn will be another fuse. And those will be 2 amp fuses, 3 amp fuses. This is a 3 amp device at 36 watts, and apparently my my light thing says it's a 40 watt light, so I'm going to use the 3 amp fuses here in both of these, so if something goes awry, it'll blow the fuse. And this will just lead off, and here's this is a terminal. These will just lead off, like I was going to say, one to my turn signals and one to everything else. I have a ground block. You can see here it's just a stud, and it comes in, and it's the negative of my capacitor is grounded to it, and also this ground is grounded here. So this that grounds this plate anyway, and all my grounds will be hooked to here. All my one ground lead will come and run to this and then be dispersed to everything else. So that is my power distribution block right there. No battery needed. I don't see the need for a battery on this mini bike. I just want a consistent 12 volt DC source for my lighting and stuff, and when the motor's running, it'll be working. It's really that simple. The only time that it will no, even if the light burned out, it'll burn the fuse out inside the light housing, the headlight housing, but I'll still have AC coming back to the brake lights. So yeah, actually no, I won't, because I tapped in after the fuse. So if my headlight blows, it will kill all my lights, and I'll have to replace that bulb and the fuse for the headlight, because that'll kill my AC back to this. So that's okay. It is what it is. If that headlight ever burns out, if I have to take it apart again, I'll just put an LED in it. But yeah, so this is my solution here, and I got my capacitor strapped in. I went and bought my nice black zip ties, nice high quality zip ties. Yep. I drilled and tapped holes for this, and I put Loctite on these screws. This one I actually drilled and tapped, and I screwed screws in it, and I went ahead and put lock washers and nuts on there to really secure this thing good. Get a good heat sink on it. So yeah, that's it. This thing's looking good, so we'll be able to try to finish that harness and get this thing going. Okay, yeah, I got a total mess here on my bench, but I forgot about my light switch, my light flasher for my turn signals. So I have to actually charge my drill because it's dead. So I'm charging that so I can drill 2 more holes in this plate. I got my holes marked right here where I'm going to drill my holes. And I'm going to have this sitting just like this. I'll probably put a little bit of double-sided tape down, put this down, and then put a strap around it. Put a black zip tie around it. And this right here, part of the fuse right here, will jump right over to here, and then this lead will go to the common of my turn signals. You know, there's 3 wires for the turn signals. There's common, and then there's left, and then there's right. Well, this goes to the common, and then your left and right just go back to your lights. So yeah, that's what I'll do. I'll have that strapped right there, connect that to that. So that'll be turn signal fuse right here, and then yeah, so that's how that'll go. But I gotta wait till I can drill these holes, so I'll do that and be back. Alright, revisiting my harness. This plugs into the switch up by the handlebars. Then this runs the length under the gas tank, and then this plugs into the tail light fixture. And then this right here is going to connect into this stuff. So I have to make a connector coming off of this that will plug into all of this. I still have to beep out with continuity and find out what all this is. I know it needs to be hooked up. A lot of it, I believe, most of this is probably just 12 volts going up to the switch. And I have, this is running light. This is 12 volt to the running light. And this is ground that goes to the fixture, the tail light fixture. So these, not that one, these two right here. This one is ground for the fixture, and this one is running light, just 12 volt running light. And then the rest of this is power that goes up to the switch. Yeah. That's that. Alright, well, I had to stop and take this apart. Removed all of the zip ties and everything because I forgot something. I forgot the horn hookup. And the horn hookup is going to be really close up by the handlebars. So I actually removed 2 of these out of here because I didn't like, it was these 2 right here that were the horn wires, were these 2, white and black, and I didn't like that. I wanted something like this to go to the horn. So I removed those and I crimped this. This plugs into the horn right here, and it's nice and short. So that's your horn harness, and then that's much better. So yeah. Okay, so now all I have to do is figure out this. It'll be another connector here and a connector on that. I should be able to drill those holes now, so let me do that and we'll move on. Okay, I had to make another change because I got to thinking I can't have both sides of the horn switch running to the horn from here. I have to have 12 volts from way back here going into the horn switch, so I put that right here. That was one of them black wire, that black wire that I had previously removed. I put it back in. I removed this I split this. Now I have one, and this will go to one side of the horn. This is from the switch, and then I have to just ground the other side. So I've got 12 volts coming up and going through the horn switch, and then going to the horn here, and then this side just needs to be grounded, the other side. And I'll use this, maybe I'll ground the frame of the mini bike, and I'll just ground this to the frame somehow. What I actually ended up doing was running another single ground wire from the grounding lug on that side plate up to the headlight, because remember, I haven't got there yet, but I actually put an LED headlight in, and I had to run ground up to it, and I installed blinker lights in the headlight, which you'll see later on, and I needed to ground all those. So I ran one single ground from the ground lug on the plate and on the back of the mini bike up into the headlight, and I used that ground to ground all the horn and the high beam, low beam headlight. So that's how I got the ground up there. I did not use the frame for ground, and that'll make the horn work. So yeah, I had to change that. So we'll get it. Now that's correct. So now I just have to figure out what pins are. These are mostly going to be 12 volt lines, minus this ground. This is ground right here. This is ground for the light fixture. See, all of that light fixture is grounded through this ground right here. The horn I have to ground separate. So I'll probably just ground the frame. And these are, I imagine these are all 12 volt lines. Horn, turn signal, this is the running light, brake, and I don't know. So we got horn, turn signal, daytime running light, brake light, and I have an extra wire. I don't know what that is. I'll figure it out. Okay, I figured out which one I don't need. It's this one right here, and I tied it back. It is common for the high beam, low beam switch. So you have, I didn't even bother putting in the wires for high beam, low beam. They go here and here in the corners. And then the common for that is probably the 12 volt or whatever for the switch is that wire right there that I just tied back. So these are the only ones. There's 4 12 volt lines and a ground. That's what it is. So that's good to go. All I do, I'm just going to put a connector on here, and that connector will go to that. I'll put a connector on that connects to this, and it'll be good to go. Alright, this part of the harness is complete. You can see it right here. Right now I've just got that horn connection kind of tied. I don't have the horn installed yet. But it comes back. This is from the switch here. Okay, and then it comes on. I got it zip tied here nicely. And then it comes here. I got it zip tied here and here to the frame. This is where I need to zip tie this a little bit better. Maybe, I don't know, it's probably pretty good. Maybe I'll tie it like this. But that goes back to the light fixture. And then down here, this is our power, all the power to the switch and the ground. This is the ground. This also has the ground from that. And then this is my AC coming from where I tapped in the headlight. So now I just have to finish that plate with that circuitry on that plate, and that'll be good to go. I think what I want to do is I'll find a way to ground the frame so that when I do the horn, all I have to do is just run one of the lines right to and ground it to the frame so that it'll work. Not terribly worried about the horn right now. I want the lights working first and foremost, so yeah. That's good to go. Should be almost ready to test it out, roll. Let me finish up that plate. Okay, we are done here. Got a little piece of sticky, double-sided sticky tape there for this, and I got it strapped in there. Got my 3 amp fuses in, and I got my connectors both done. And I got this ground going to the ground, so this is grounded. Yeah, so put this thing back on and try it out. Okay, I got it all put back together and I got it up on a crate. We're going to go ahead and fire it up. See, at idle it's pretty dim. This is at idle. You turn this way. Flashing really slow, see that? If I hit the brake. But if I rev it up, let me grab this so I can see what I'm looking at. So there you go. No battery required. Now, the bad part about not having a battery is it's dim at idle. But when you're at a little bit of a rev on the engine, it's nice and bright and works good. It's just at idle, it's pretty dim, but who cares? Big deal. So that's it. Wiring the Trailmaster Hurricane 200X. Wired. Alright, yeah, I'll link everything I used for this, I'll link in the description. Peace. Alright, I just wanted to make a little follow-up video to this guy. I had my inspection today by my local police department, and they inspect the VIN, and the VIN on this is actually stamped right here. I don't know how well that's picking up. I can't see it on the viewfinder, but it's stamped right there. It also comes with this sticker right down here. But yeah, the VIN is actually stamped on the neck here. Okay. Yep, so this thing just passed the inspection. It is now street legal. I have my appointment at I'm in Michigan, and we have a Secretary of State instead of the DMV or whatever. We go to the Secretary of State. So this thing is street legal. I don't want to show the police officer's name. Let me get off of here a little bit. I just want to cover up his name, but it's all signed off on. The police officer signed off on everything. So I put this exhaust on here, and pretty cool. I don't know if I'm going to keep that. That's just the one that I seen. I might want to get one that comes up and goes around over to here. I'll have to cut out some of this or something. I don't know exactly. For now, that's fine though. Things I've done since the last video is I put an LED light, LED headlight, and I put these blinker turn signals. I just drilled holes into the housing here and mounted these in here, and they work, blinkers. I have the horn mounted right here. I just mounted it right here. Got all my wiring here. I put in a light switch where I can turn the headlight on and off. Okay. I have my master light switch right here, which turns on all the lights. And you can see there. Yeah. I had to make a change in my wiring system because my battery was draining overnight. I'd charge it and it'd drain overnight, so I had to make a little change on my wiring diagram. And you know what I'll do is I'll post a wiring diagram at the end of this video so that you can wire your own, you can do your wiring. It's pretty extensive to wire this thing properly. But you can see right here, got myself a 99cc engine sticker. Okay, I wanted to interject into this video here and just do a little edit. I did end up using a battery pack, and I have in parallel a 1.2 amp hour and a 5.4 amp hour or 5.2 amp hour, something like that. 5.2 amp hour, so a total of 6.4 amp hours of battery. If you put them in parallel, you increase the capacity without increasing the voltage. So it's 12 volts at 6.4 amp hours, and these are linked in the video description, and you can as well put them in parallel. These are the charging, these are the charge back wires. This is the output, 12 volt output, and these are the, like I said, the charging coming back to charge these from my 12 volt regulator. And I have this right here is my, and I had to buy this connector right here. I had to buy both of these separate, but this is a one female to 2 male connector that plugs in to charge these. So you're just going from 1 to 2, that plugs into those. This is the output from the 12 volts. And I don't have a capacitor. I removed the capacitor. The diagram, the wire diagram at the end of the video is exactly how I have this wired up. So what you see in the wiring diagram is what is wired here. And one thing I glazed over is I did end up putting in an LED headlight. So I had to complete my harness and run the low beam and high beam wires and the 12 volt from the back. You remember I had it tied over. I had to actually connect that and run 12 volts up. And then I had to run my high beam, low beam to this. So I completed that. But really what I wanted to show in this video, and I put a juggernaut on there. And I modified the air box, so I just put an air cleaner on it. And yeah, this is the stuff I really wanted to show. This was a connection that I just put on. I had to buy this. You can see it's a male with pigtails, and I put this is connected to the regulator, the 12 volt voltage regulator coming back, and there's a diode in line with this that you can't see, and then that just feeds back in to charge my battery packs. So, If you have one battery pack, then you don't need two, but I have two battery packs, so I needed two of these. I suppose you could just buy a 6 amp hour battery pack and you won't have to have two charges, but this is how I did it. And I just drilled holes into the seat here and fed my zip ties through. Make sure you do it in an X configuration like this so that this doesn't slide out this way and come out. It needs to be secured in there really good. And you can do that by just drill holes and run your straps right through. That's what I did. So, and how I did that, a good way to do that is if you get a step bit. I just used this step bit. Okay, there you go. I just wanted to interject, put this little piece of the video into the video to further clarify how I went about doing that. Yeah, but I do have a battery pack mounted under the seat. And that's it. And everything is and will be linked in the video description for this build. And I put a key ignition switch. I moved the on-off kill switch. I moved that wiring to right here. I put a key ignition in it. I think I might have pointed that out last time. But everything works. My high beam, low beam works. This is a high beam, low beam LED. Yeah. That's good to go. Go ahead and, I don't have my keys so I can't start it, but I'll take you for a little spin on it. Okay, now so I got my keys. Go ahead and turn the gas on, choke it. Not ideal with one hand. It's about as good as it's going to get one-handed. Yeah, works great. One thing I noticed is when I put that other muffler on it, it made it shaky, really shaky. So, yeah, here's what it is. All right, that's going to do it. I'll go ahead and post the wiring diagram for you at the end of the video here. And enjoy.